Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to Abundant Wednesdays. And today I have with us a friend of mine I've known for a long time, Danelle Cole. And Danelle is a mortgage broker with the Place to Mortgage out of Red Deer, Alberta. And Danelle has, I met her a long time ago at some real estate investing functions. And we kept in touch over the time, and we worked together on some private lending that she does. And I thought it was a good opportunity to have Danelle come in and talk to our listeners to a little bit about investing with um, private funds from arm's length mortgages. And she's definitely an expert in doing that. So with that, I'll turn it over to Nina.
Thanks, Shelley. Happy New Year, everyone, and welcome again to the Abundant Wednesday, and welcome, Danelle. It is so nice to meet you, and we actually just met a couple of minutes ago, but, all three of us have been mortgage brokers, so we always have that banter right across the board, so it made it really fun to have the chat and to meet up with you. So you were a mortgage broker, you said, for 20 years. That is amazing. That is awesome. I can't imagine the knowledge that you have, because every file is unique. So that's just fabulous. So as a mortgage broker for 20 years, you have covered a lot of mortgages and types of mortgages. How did you specifically get into private lending?
Well, I'm an investor myself as well, so I've always been passionate in that arena. And I just found that when I started in the industry, it was a lot easier to obtain mortgages for investors. And as time went on, the restrictions just got more and more ridiculous. And it just got harder and harder. So I knew I needed to come up with a solution. For a number of years, I was a part of the Central Alberta Real Estate Investors Association. And so we brought in different experts from the real estate investing arena to come speak to our group on a regular occurrence. And I kept hearing people talking about self-directed lending and mortgages. And I was just determined that I was going to learn how to do that and take advantage of that, because I needed that extra tool in my tool belt.
Yes, and that is really a great point, because I started investing in 2009, and it was so easy to get funding for rental properties, putting into a corporation, and that is so much harder now. And where you have self-mortgage, self-directed RSPs, those private fund mortgages makes it so much easier for lenders, for not lenders, but for the investors to expand their portfolio, which is what we want to do as a mortgage broker. You say would be the benefit for an investors to work with someone, say for example yourself, who has access to private lenders with arm's length funding. How do you think that would benefit them?
Yeah, well, that's exactly the point. Is it has to be arm's length. So it can be really hard to find investors that aren't your immediate family, or, going to benefit from the specific property themselves, that kind of thing. So having a pool of investors that I'm connected to just creates more opportunity, creates more options for people. And there's just so much more flexibility. So as I said, the rules on the traditional lending side have just gotten so difficult that it just opens some additional doors for my borrowers. There's a lot less restrictions when it comes to value, for example. So we're not really tied to, 80% max loan to value, that kind of thing. Sometimes we can go to 100%, just depending on the borrower, that kind of thing, right? That's Olympia's guideline is 100%. And we're not just looking at the purchase agreement either. So a lot of investors might pick up these properties for well under value. And I can actually use appraisal or property tax statement. So just some examples of how it can just open up some other doors for borrowers.
Very nice. That is amazing. So just one quick question. Can you please explain the difference between arm's length and non-arm's length to our watchers?
Yeah, for sure. So arm's length. So if you think of arm's length, that's the people that are really close to you in your close circle. So you cannot lend arm's length. You can't use your RSP in your project, and you can't use your sister's RSP in your project. So it has to be someone that maybe you've connected with at an investors meeting or something like that, or a broker connects you with that you don't know personally, and that is not going to have any equity in the property, the specific property that the investment's being secured against.
Okay. So
That is
arm's
a
length is somebody
value.
you would hug.
That's
Yeah.
right. Yes.
And
I
that
want
is
to hug
the
you so I
value.
can't do business with you.
That is the
Right.
value of also working with a mortgage broker who is an investor, because most of the mortgage brokers who are investors also have these connections. That's someone who doesn't typically work with investors. Most people wouldn't even think to get those people as part of their package of offerings that they have.
Well, you know, a lot of my lenders are investors and from the investor community, but a lot of them are just regular mortgage clients that have had money sitting in their RSP and not doing anything, that I've asked, are you happy with what your RSP is doing? Do you want to look at alternate options? So I've really expanded my lending database just by chatting with clients along the years. So
Right?
That is a terrific initiative. I love that. I love the fact that you talk to your actual other mortgage clients and say, hey, I can get you a better return. Let's talk. That is amazing. And you brought them into the investing world where they probably wouldn't have thought about it.
yeah. Well, and as a side note, I am licensed. I have my LLQP, so I'm with Solomon Financial as well. So I do some financial planning and advising on the side. So the two tie in really nice.
You got lots of layers going on, lady. Awesome. That is good. So what would you say with things that investors need to keep in mind when they do these arm's length and non-arm's length mortgages?
So a borrower per se, I think it's just having an idea of what is available for options out there, right? So one other example of a way they can use self-directed lending is if they don't quite qualify anymore because they're finding their debt ratios are too tight, that kind of thing, we can use self-directed lending and second mortgages to consolidate debt. So I actually wanted to talk about one example. So a lot of investors use lines of credit to invest in the next rental property. Problem with that is if it's an unsecured line of credit, lenders make us use 3% of the balance when we're calculating their debt ratios. So if you have a $50,000 line of credit, 3% is $1,500 a month is what we have to include in your TDL.
Wow.
So you can see how that would really prevent people from obtaining new mortgages. But if we get a second mortgage, say on another property, took that $50,000, moved it into a second mortgage, even at 12% over 35 years, the payment's $496. So we've just created a whole lot of opportunity for them. What are some other things?
That's so great. Yeah.
Yeah, I know a lot of investors are interested in, what's the term I'm looking for? An agreement for sale, sorry. So they like to do agreement for sale. So they don't take possession of the property right away. I've actually done agreement for sales where I've had the owners obtain a second mortgage and use those second mortgage funds to pay me to find rent-to-own tenants, to renovate the property, that kind of thing, knowing that we have an agreement for sale signed. And when I purchase that home, I'll be paying out the first and second mortgage. So that creates some other opportunities. So I think the biggest thing is it just creates so many different opportunities that we can be really creative with what's available.
Well, that's exactly it. You just nailed it. Creative financing. And this is the lady to do it. Like, you guys need to reach out and talk to Danelle. So how can everyone reach you?
So I've just taken on a new phone number. So it's a number that my whole team can see. So you get really fast response, trying to level up. So that number is 587-441-4100. You can text me on that line. You can call me on that line. Somebody will get back to you right away. My email is danelle@albertamortgageexpert.com. I do self-directed lending across Canada, but I'm here centrally in Alberta. Facebook, it's Mortgage with Danelle.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I hope everyone reaches out to Danelle. This is amazing.
I just want to talk for a moment too Danelle also has access to people with cash, not just that. And traditionally in Western Canada, we've mentioned Olympia Trust. Olympia Trust is probably the biggest trustee that deals with the self-directed portfolio for RSPs, LIRA, and TFSA. However, there are other opportunities out there as well. And in Eastern Canada, Olympia Trust is available now, but it wasn't at one time. So there's other trustees that are out there as investors that you may run across people with money with as well. And so that could be Raymond James, B2B Trust, just to name a few. There's several of them that do it. But the traditional banks, etc., really don't want to do that kind of business because they want to keep the money into different investment forms with their clients. So just so you know, as investors, if you have somebody, if you're working with a mortgage broker like Danelle, someone comes forward and they've got funds and you're not sure, you could always bring it to Danelle and see if there's something, or if you have a counterpart in another province, that to see if they can help you with that process as well. Because I know the very first time that I did an RSP loan from an investor friend who was going to give me some money for a fix and flip. He had never loaned out the money and I had never borrowed the money before. So it was a totally new process. And it was, talking to Olympia Trust, talking to my attorney helped me figure out what we needed to do to get the deal done. And now I understand way better what the process is. But at first it's a little bit daunting, and it's good to work with someone like Danelle who has experience and knows how to work through the process.
Yeah.
Yes. Definitely someone you want in your network.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Are there any tips that you would like to leave for investors, Danelle, with working with arm's length and self-directed funds?
Like just different strategies, I guess. One strategy is you don't have to be paying monthly payments on them either. So you can postpone payments and do annually, semi-annually, that kind of thing. So if you're doing different renovation projects, things like that, it can really help free up some cash up front.
Very good point. Yes.
Excellent.
All right. Well, that sounds great. Well, thank you so much for joining us today, Danelle. We, love an opportunity for you to come back and talk to us again if there's changes that are happening in the mortgage industry. Certainly our investor clients that are listening, always are looking for up-to-date information and tips and clues and things that can help them grow their business and be more successful. So really appreciate your time today coming out.
And I really appreciate having me on. I actually love this topic. I love chatting about it and love teaching people about it. So
yes,
if anyone wants to reach out to me and just pick my brain, I'm more than willing.
Absolutely. We'll make sure your contact information is available for the people that have listened as well. Nina, do you have anything else?
No, just thank you so very much. And I really appreciate you coming out and sharing with all our followers.
Yes. So I'd like to thank Danelle and thank our listeners who are listening, and have an abundant week. And thanks for joining us on Abundant Wednesday. Bye for now.
Take care. Bye.